I was living with my best friend during college. Quiet apartment, thin wall, the kind of place where you hear everything. One day, we heard a rumor. Someone had just moved in next door, someone who had recently been released from a mental hospital. We brushed it off. Until about a week later, one evening, our doorbell started ringing. Again, and again, and again. My roommate opened the door. A man stood there. Something about him felt wrong. He smiled and said he'd cut his hand and needed a band-aid, but his hands were perfectly fine. No blood, no cut. My roommate politely said she couldn't help. That's when he said something that still makes my stomach turn. Okay, can I measure something in your bedroom? She slammed the door shut immediately. Thankfully, he left. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. We thought it was over. We were wrong. One morning, I woke up to the sound of the doorbell ringing non-stop. I peeked through the window into the hallway. It was him. I shook my roommate awake and whispered, "The Band-Aid guy is back." She cracked the door open just an inch. The second she did, he tried to force it open. He asked if he could use our bathroom. She slammed the door shut, locked it, and called the police. They took forever. By the time they arrived, he was gone. They told us there was nothing they could do unless it happened again. 2 days later, it happened again. I woke up to a heavy thumping sound. At first, I thought someone was shaking out a rug. Then I got out of bed and realized the truth. Through our front window, I saw him. He was throwing his entire body against our front door. I ran to my roommate, screaming for her to call the police. Suddenly, the noise stopped, too suddenly. I knew he didn't just leave. I started checking the house. When I opened one of the windows, he was right there, hiding, staring at me. The moment our eyes met, he rushed back to the front door and started smashing it again. That's when I noticed something in his hands. At first, I didn't want to believe it. Then it became clear. It was an axe. I remember standing there, frozen, silently begging the door to hold. Seconds, felt like hours. Then, "Stop! Police!" They tackled him and shoved him into the back of their car. That's when they told us the final detail, the one that still haunts me. He had slashed all of our tires so we couldn't escape, and he had been waiting outside our house since 3 a.m, watching, waiting. That night, I didn't sleep, because I knew one thing for sure. If the police had arrived even a minute later, I wouldn't be here to tell this story.